Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you through this sketchbook right here, which I recently completed. And this is my very first sketchbook that I've ever finished front to back. Let's go ahead and get into it. So here's the cover page. This is actually the most recent thing I did in it because I left this page blank. Sketchbook number 1, I started it May 29th, 2020 and ended it February 10th, so just 4 days ago. So this is the first picture I did in the sketchbook, and basically this is my backyard. I didn't really know at the time what I was going to do with the sketchbook, but I kind of like it for a first page. This second page here, I had this idea of doing like shadows from trees, like sunlight coming through trees and making shadows. And then I was gonna like draw lines around the leaves, and I don't know, basically it didn't work out because the wind was like blowing the trees and everything was just moving too much, so I couldn't even get like an accurate picture. So that was the second page. You can tell that I'm still like easing into the whole sketchbook process. This page, again, another kind of loose doodle type drawing. You can see a lot of, just like crazy scribbling going on. But yeah, this guy just got blown up basically. There's his body parts. This is just a robot that he's depressed about something. I'm not sure, and he's like crying oil. So, yeah, this was the first color picture that I did. Then I tried to draw Joe Rogan, and I think I was just on YouTube. That's why I was drawing Joe Rogan. I saw his head there. I was like, oh, let me try to draw this. And yeah, I think the second one that I did turned out better. This is a picture that appeared in my very first YouTube video called Episode 1 Cancelled. This is supposed to be like a music festival where DJ Billy was performing, and so I did this little drawing to represent that. And it's all just colored pencil and a little bit of fine liner pen for like the fence and the speakers and stuff. This is just a doodle page, random words. I was using a brush pen to do this. And this guy, he's just an alien on a kind of sand dune world. I don't know. He's squishing a bug. This was with alcohol markers and brush pen. And this one I was just kind of messing around with different layouts and different shapes. And again, it was me messing around with the brush pen. So obviously this woman here, this demonic entity, is being splashed with some sort of fluid whilst nude, holding a deadly weapon. Also, she's in the middle of some sort of satanic salt circle, and her hand is oriented suggestively towards her demonic genital region. I don't know if YouTube is gonna like block this video because of this. I don't know if they're gonna block it because of this, let alone what I censored here, as you can see. Too much going on in this picture. It said, I believe the guidelines say that, artistic content, if it has artistic value or something, then it's nudity is allowed. And I mean, come on, this is a sketchbook, okay? So hopefully they don't block this video. Yeah, I think this one's pretty cool. You got this guy running away from the alien worm. The only thing I'll say is that I don't think the horizon should be, like, indented right there. Like, the horizon should be level, like, all the way across, and that kind of bothers me now. This is just, like, a still life, I guess. Or I was just drawing my desk and all the stuff that was on it. Anyway. This one here is just like, I wrote a bunch of like random words, like phrases, that came to my mind. And then just like messing around with the alcohol markers. And I also got a set of Copic multi-liner pens. So I was like testing them out, like all the different sizes from the smallest one all the way up to this. This is just another doodle page. This one I actually used pencil, which I don't think I used very much in the sketchbook in general. But I do like using pencil sometimes. This is like your basic battle between good and evil thing. I like the symmetry of it, and I like, and you know, all I did was like look at my hand, like I made the hand and just drew, you know, just like drew my own hands, and it actually turned out pretty good, I think. And I was using these Papermate ballpoint pens. This is an abstract thing I did. I actually named this drawing the almond because of this little thing in the middle that, to me, kind of looks like an almond. Maybe sitting in something thick, like gravy or something, just like... Anyway, so a lot of the time when I don't know what to draw, I'll just draw some, like, random lines, and then I'll start drawing, you know, just kind of things that you don't even have to think about. And sometimes it won't turn out good at all. It'll just look random and weird, but sometimes it actually looks kind of like on purpose. Yeah, I like how this one turned out. There's a lot of things about it that just clicked into place. More doodles with the brush pen. This page I like a little bit more than some of the other ones, just because they were cool. I like this guy down here. I like his weird shaped head. And then I've got this like Power Ranger, or not a Power Ranger. I don't know. It looks like some kind of like Dragon Ball Z villain or something. Sometimes I'll get these random characters that look kind of unique when I'm just doing doodling. This is pretty much like a piece of concept art for the game I've been working on. The first level is on this purplish planet with crystals everywhere. You basically crash land and you go into this cave and shoot slugs and stuff. So this is kind of like looking out of the cave and seeing the robot just, you know, coming out of the escape pod for the first time. And this is a self-portrait of me as DJ Billy. This was the other picture that appeared in episode 1 on my channel. This is just another kind of random abstract one that I was working on. Just a lot of really fine lines and strange shapes. And yeah, nothing too specific going on here. And then we have these guys, which, you know, they look kind of innocent, but then you see this guy and you're like, oh shit, I don't know, something's going on. This is like an amoeba that I did using fine liner pens. Yeah, but I believe I used these pens for this, the Pigma Micron. And you can get really detailed with these pens. So here we have this creepy guy in a boat, and he's looking down at this woman who appears to just be naked in the lake. And I don't know, I purposely drew this guy as if he's like really excited about her being a naked chick in the water and not like super excited about like saving her life or whatever. That's kind of the vibe you get. Yeah, she's actually definitely gonna murder him like as soon as he tries to grab her hand or whatever. Above the waterline, everything's doesn't have color. You could say that's a stylistic choice, or you could say that I was just being lazy. Either way. This is another picture that I did of my backyard, or like the side of my house, actually. It's the same table. I had my coffee out there with me again. This time I was using like a blue gel pen and then like a blue Sharpie that was running out of ink. That's the kind of lighter lines, the thick, like all this stuff, that was the Sharpie. And then kind of the finer lines is the gel pen. But I really like this one because there's so many different textures going on and somehow it works. So here's another page that's just like random things. Just random things I wrote down. And these are some pictures that I actually drew while I was at work one day. Yeah, this is what I was doing at work instead of, you know, monitoring my work area or whatever. But yeah, I just did like this elephant guy. I'd like to actually like redo the elephant guy. We also got this bird parrot man. Another cool character. You know, just randomness. So this picture right here, I was trying to do like this little spaceship that lands on the surface of a star and like harvests plasma, like sucks it up into this tank. It's all right. This is an example of a concept that was like super cool in my head. And then once I got done with it, I was like, oh, it's just average execution. This is just swatches for this set of fine liner markers that I bought. And I barely ever use them because, like, if I'm doing something detailed, I just use the bigger marker and just try to be detailed with it instead of switching to these teeny tiny, like this pencil's 0.7 millimeters. These are like 0.4, I think. These are incredibly fine point markers. You can't fill up anything with color with them. They're just too small. I don't know. I have yet to find a good application for these tiny little markers. And this is actually front and back of the page. Waste of time. I did use them on this page, which is like, it says, you know, experiment art. Actually, the art stands for Arteza because that's the brand. Arteza fine liners. Sometimes you can get a good effect out of it, like with this orange. I put the lines on it and gave it this kind of geometric pattern that I thought looked pretty cool. But then other times, like with this steak, that's just, a lot of this stuff is just coloring in with lines. Like, I don't know. This is a picture I did from life. This was at the beach at Treasure Island. Says 1 p.m. Yeah, I was just at the beach. I brought my sketchbook because I was going to try to get a cool drawing. And it's just black and white because I didn't want to bring all my markers with me or like all my colored pencils to the beach. That just sounded like a disaster waiting to happen. So I just had some pens and I just drew this looking down. You know, you see the hotels on the beach and everything. This one, it is what it says. It's 5 hands, you know. Again, I just kind of used my own hands to get a reference. and did it from sort of different angles. I tried to get one where like the fist was coming towards me. I can't remember how I got this, because that's kind of hard to look at your fist, like your whole arm. I think maybe I took a picture of it and did it from the picture for that one. This is just some concept art I did for the drawing that's on the following page. Just different faces that I was trying out, and like a loose kind of sketch of the scene. And then I put a star next to this one because this is the one that I kind of ended up going with. And this is the final version. You got that same character just sitting there by the fire. But this is just done with colored pencil and fine liner pens. And my wife, she said this is one of her favorite ones, which I like it too. I think the color palette works pretty well. You know, you got the orange here, and then you got like these bursts, just bursts of color that I think really help elevate it a little bit. This is another just picture of my house that I did, just sitting around. This is just random doodles again. And I actually drew this hand without a reference, so I was pretty proud of this hand. Usually when I draw a hand, I'm like filled with dread, but I just started drawing it, and then I just kind of like looked at it, I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess either I got lucky that time or something is beginning to sink in. Yeah, this is just more abstract stuff. I mean, I really went crazy trying to think of like different variations of shapes and things that I could fill in to this black and white section. And I hid the date right there. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I do that a lot. I'll like hide the date really tiny inside the picture somewhere. This is just random faces from a video I was watching on YouTube, and then I watched this other video about the Loomis method. It didn't really stick with me. I think it's cool if some people can use a method, but my method is just trial and error until I get it right. The name of this picture is Xeno Shopping. Obviously, it's like aliens in a store. This is like another of my favorites. The shelving is not drawn in, and like some of the items in this person's cart here aren't drawn in, because I got to that point and I was just like, man, I am just like wore out from working on this picture. And I was like, holy shit, like, do I really want to go in after I already have it this good and like potentially do some really bad drawing in these things? I was like, no, I can't do it. Like, it's just a sketchbook. So it's technically an unfinished picture, but I still like how it turned out. So this is a little diagram that I did for my Satisfactory review. That was a game that I was playing earlier in 2021. And yeah, it's a game where you build things and you have to set up factories. So it actually kind of helps for me to like draw out a diagram, because I like totally redid. Oh man, this is like some real nerd shit right here. But I like totally redid my coal power production systems. So I had all these coal generators that were like randomly spread out. You know, there's some over here, blah, 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 some over here. And I basically just made like a huge line of them right here. and had all the cold feeding into this line that was like super organized, and it was way more, it like produced way more energy. So anyway, I'm sure everybody wanted to know the minutia of the Satisfactory project. Next page. Yeah, this is another doodle page. I was actually listening to like Soundgarden. They have a song called Rusty Cage, so I drew this guy that's like busting out of the cage. Yeah, if I'm listening to music while I'm drawing, I'll try to like incorporate, you know, imagery that comes from the lyrics or just the kind of vibe of the song that I'm getting. This is a picture that was actually done with those fine liner markers that I did the whole swatches of. It was like, it's like over 100 markers, I think. I use a lot of different line techniques. You know, a lot of the stuff I don't think worked. Like the way I tried to outline this boulder, or like put all these lines inside of this boulder, it just looks too messy right here. But, you know, it's just like a little experiment. Sometimes you just try things. If it doesn't, you know, I feel like if I tried this again, I could improve on it. This one, I think as a whole picture is better than the previous one, just because I don't go too crazy with the lines. Like, here's the lines, they go across, they're on the ground. Here's some circles. It's like a little path to the orange house. Everything has a logical sense to it. It works better, whereas the other one was just a little too crazy. So this is another piece of concept art for my game. And this is like the boss that you fight against. It's like the queen of the slugs, and it's the most evolved version, so it can run around on legs and stuff. And there's like the eggs that it implanted in the ship. And here is another doodle page. Yeah. Not much to say about this one. This is just more abstract stuff, different colors and different shapes. You know, there's nothing like super crazy that goes into something like this, but I just try to do something that looks cohesive. Sometimes it's just about having fun, you know. It's not like, this has to be the most extravagant arrangement of form known to the, you know, it's like, just get it on the page. So here is this girl that I found, I was looking for references on Pinterest, and the thing is, the girl in the picture doesn't really look like this girl. Like, my version isn't really accurate to the picture, but I feel like you can look at this picture and be like, oh, it's just a girl. Like, there's nothing like grotesquely wrong about it. So I count that as a win. So then we have this one. It's another fully colored page, and it's just got the little astronaut guy mining some asteroids. I wanted to give like an accurate texture to what the surface of an asteroid would be. So there's like a lot of little tiny variations that I did to suggest like this very rough surface that he's walking on. The thing, when you're drawing rocks, like, it doesn't really matter where you put the shadow, I don't think. Well, it does. I mean, you don't put the shadow over here, but as far as these little details and what you do, you know, whatever you choose to do just kind of determines what the shape of this rock is in your picture to a certain point. So that's kind of why I like drawing natural things and things that are inherently like random. You know, it's a lot easier to get away with some random stuff when you're drawing a rock than it is like if I tried to do some random stuff with this cart, or the lines of the cart weren't perfectly perpendicular, then you just be like, oh, this cart is like horribly malformed, whereas you wouldn't necessarily think that about a rock. It's just a random rock. So yeah, this page, man, sometimes it can't always be like a fantastic page, but I was testing. It's like it says large brush pen testing phase. That's basically what I was doing. I was just trying different things. Yeah, some rando, I don't know, a clown. Everybody loves clowns, right? This one's just a picture of my neighbor's yard that I did using ballpoint pens, different colored ballpoint pens. But then I feel like this brush pen ruins it. It doesn't ruin it. It's just it's too dark, I think. Like if I would have used a regular black ballpoint pen, it would have been on the same level as this, and it would have suggested the same shapes, just not so like overpowering. This is just a random weirdo guy. This was ballpoint pens and brush pen. This is just a picture of the tree lines by my house. This was done with alcohol markers. This is a picture of the side of my house. Yeah, me and my wife, we woke up early in the morning, so we both went out there and sat on our chairs, and we were just like sketching different things. And I decided to just sketch this corner of the house. Okay, I can tell you a story about what happened with this guy. So I had the idea. You have this guy, he's butt naked, he's being stretched backwards and ripped like into this weird wormhole where his shadow is back here, and it's like, basically the guy's like stuck on these like shards of glass that are like ripping him backwards. And then I was like, oh, well, if it's ripping all of his appendages backwards, maybe it should be like ripping his dick off too. Oh my God. Anyway, so I started like drawing his dick being sucked down into this wormhole. And then I was like, wait, stop. I was like, this is just too much. You don't have to do that. It's detracting from the overall experience. You know, I didn't want to create this picture where the first thing you do is just stare at this guy's like dick that's being, you know, sucked into a vortex. So basically, I just cut the dick off and made a little stitch. And I think it adds, there's nothing there to see now, but it just adds a little narrative spice. It's like, why? But overall, I think it was the right decision. So this is literally one of the blandest pieces that's in this sketchbook. I just look at this and this looks so corny to me. You know, what this reminds me of is like if someone took like a little toy that you got out of like a crane game or something, or like out of a Happy Meal, and took it to like a Kay's Jewelers and set it down on the velvet, and they were like, look at this beauty. That's what I feel like this is. Like, these crystals look... I just can't. But, I mean, I tried things, okay? I tried to make a little fluffy blanket with the crystals, you know, with the shading and everything, okay? I tried. Let's move on. So now we get to the Billy Goat. Again, these two pages here, not my best work, all right? I didn't know what to draw. I just thought, you know what? Just draw something. All right, so now I have this guy's name is Zarborg the Spiteful. He is an actual named character, and he's just a sadistic guy. He's got a little blood, but of course it's not human blood, it's like alien blood, so it's a little purpley. I think this is one of my favorite ones in here, just because it pops, man. I like the background. There's a lot that I like about this one. I kind of came back to this formula several times throughout the sketchbook. So we also have this guy. This is the Cyber Troll, and he's got his little mechanical eyeball thing going on. And I did the same kind of pattern where I used colored pencil for the character and then alcohol markers to do kind of like a bold background. This is just another brush pen doodle page, and I also used some I think these were the Papermate ballpoints again. I kept coming back to those. Just trying to do different faces from imagination. Yeah, just random faces. So then we have this one. This is the Forest Nymph. I made a video on this picture. And yeah, it's just alcohol markers and colored pencils. So this is another one where I mixed up what I used again. I've got alcohol markers, a little bit of ballpoint pen, and then colored pencil. And, you know, basically it's like this alien guy that's like analyzing the brain, and it's like shooting out a memory of a woman. And I thought the colored pencil would be better to give it like a dreamy quality. It's like a little fuzzier feeling than the markers are. The markers feel more metallic when you lay it down. It's more solid. So that's kind of the thought behind that. This is just a picture I did with alcohol marker and colored pencil of Florida from space. This one appeared in episode 2 of the Billy Goat series. This is an abstract picture that I did that once I got done with it, because I drew these circles, I drew different kinds of circles, I drew a lot of different intersecting lines and different curves. And once I did that, I realized it kind of looked like a shark. So I kind of leaned into that and actually made this section like the body of the shark, and this section the eyes and everything, and the rest the water. I think it turned out pretty good. So yeah, this is another kind of abstract thing. What happened here, it says the mitten of shame. I tried to draw a hand, and it was like so horrible that I drew this little oven mitt over it and then just called it the mitten of shame. And so this guy's like, he's got his own eyeball. See, he's like plucked his eyeball out, but it's like looking back at him. Maybe that's like symbolism or something, I don't know, but so I did this lady from Imagination. I did my best, you know, since I didn't color in her skin because I didn't want to color over the pencil. That just seemed like it would like mess up the pencil that I did. I put the color of her skin, the colors that I would have used on her skin, kind of like in the background instead, and like added it to her eyes, and just did like her lips and the earrings. Try to at least put some kind of color into it. This is after I quit my job, and this was back in November. Here's my truck, you know, peeling out, and this is like the conveyor belt of potato salad, and here's me like, out of here. Here's another pencil drawing I did. One thing I really like about using pencil is that you can get a lot of detail just through the amount of pressure you're using and the type of marks that you're doing. It's just, pencil to me is like super, super expressive. I did like a little poem thing on this side because I was just looking at this plant that's just like dead, just sitting in a jar on the table. I started thinking about, man, this plant's just like wasting away here. But yeah, so that's what I did on this page. So this one is colored pencil, alcohol marker, and fine liner pen. And it's just kind of a scene in an alien city that I thought of this like assassin basically asking his partner or his boss maybe, like, hey, is this the guy? Like, is this who we're supposed to be whacking right now? And that's kind of like the snapshot of the scene right there. This is just more abstract stuff. Actually, the more that I've looked at this one, the more I like it. Just like the design of it and how many different shapes I was able to incorporate. There's things, you know, obviously there's this head in the center that's very like, well, that's like the most distinctive thing. But you got like a hand, you got like a wing shape or like a rocket. There's just different things that are suggestive of like a wave, or that's kind of what I like, is that there's different things that your eye could be drawn to maybe. That's what I like about a lot of abstract art, is that you can just look at it and see different people can see different things. It can have different meanings, or, you know, anything is open for interpretation. Here's another abstract piece that I did. And this one, it basically just has 3 themes that I put on the page, which is like flowing, basically circle type shapes, triangular, you know, pointy type shapes, and then box type shapes. So this is another drawing of my backyard from a different angle. And this time I used alcohol markers and a little bit of fine liner pen for like the grill here, the shovel. I like how this one turned out. This is the disintegration video that I did. This is that same picture. And yeah, this came from a reference on Pinterest, I think. In the reference, the girl wasn't having her face ripped off. She just was doing like a scream like this. So I just kind of drew that and then added in the stretchy skin flaps later on. All right, so here we have basically, I just did some abstract shapes using those lines that I talked about earlier, where you can use the lines and kind of suggest shapes to 2D objects. It's something that I like to do. It's almost like when you see those maps that have the lines that kind of suggest how tall the, you know, like elevation maps. It's kind of what it reminds me of, except using them just for different shapes. Here's a character that I did. I got this idea of doing that had a helmet on. So you see this at the beginning, and then you can flip the helmet back, and you see the guy underneath. It's like a insectoid creature. So I think this one turned out really cool. This one and the picture of Zarborg the Spiteful, the guy with the with kind of like the fiery colors on the sides. Those are like my 2 favorite. I really like doing these alien portraits. I might do some more in the future, just try to think of different designs and stuff. Here's another picture similar to the previous one where I'm using 2 different sheets, but this first layer is like the womb or the egg sac or whatever. and then you can lift it up. I just like the layered effect. This is the first picture I did this year, and it's just a derpy caterpillar. That's literally what the picture's called, is derpy caterpillar. So this picture I did, obviously it's a bunch of different words. It's more like graphic design than it is, you know, like regular art, I guess. But this was done at a time when I had just started my new job, which is night shift, and I don't know, it was a very weird, abrupt change, and it put me into this like dark headspace because I became basically like a night ghoul, like a creature of the night that just slunk out into the shadows. And I don't know, it's a weird feeling. Like, I'm used to it now. I feel a lot better, but I was just in a bad mental state. I can look back on it now and be like, okay, you made it through it. And this does look pretty cool to me still, just all the different styles of fonts and everything. Kind of like, it's kind of just fun to do. This one was a limited color palette. I think I just used primary colors, yellow, blue, and red. And this guy is just like unleashing the power of color or something on the world. It's just like this very boring, like, world of whiteness, and then he's like blasting it with color. This picture is called DJ Billy's Estate. This was also in episode 2 of the Billy Goat series. And this is just another kind of abstract thing that I tried out, and honestly, I don't think it worked that well. I think there probably should have been like fewer of these shapes, and maybe had like one swirl that went through it, because it's just too much. I'm just not crazy about this one. And so this is the last page. I decided to do a self-portrait because, you know, I'd only done one of those and it had me with sunglasses on. So I was like, well, let me do something a little more recent and where you can actually see my eyes and everything. And I think this turned out pretty good. I noticed that I drew the eyes too big. Like, when I first drew this, the eyes were huge. I looked like a bug or something, and I was like, no, this is not working. And I just took the eraser and literally like erased the eyes down to little stubs. And even though they were like messed up, because I just like erased it real quick, I knew that it was the right decision. And actually, even looking at this now, I still think the eyes are a little too big and a little too close together. I think I squished the head trying to fit it into the page, because when I look at the reference, it's like a noticeable difference. But other than that, I think I really like doing the portrait with pencil. Finally, at the very end, I have a table of contents that I started, like, when I got halfway through, I decided I wanted to start naming the drawings. So they all have different names, and they have the dates when they were finished. It goes all the way down to number 83, Self-Portrait in Pencil. And that was February 9th, 2022. That is the entire sketchbook. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be doing another video very soon where I start my second sketchbook. And I'm really looking forward to doing more art and trying to push my artwork in different directions and see what I come up with. So stay tuned for that. All right, thanks for watching.